Captain America Civil War is the third Captain America film and some number of Marvel Cinematic Universe movie. I don't need to say what it is. And what this movie's about is after a long time of operating independently, the government now feels that the Avengers need to sign up with them so they can watch over them, because what happened in Sokovia and something else in the movie isn't very cool with them, and Iron Man agrees with this thing. It's called the Sokovia Accord. Iron Man agrees with it, but Cap doesn't agree with it. He feels that the safest hand is still their own, and they get in a little dispute about it, and while that's going on, Bucky is still on the run. Cap is trying to find him, and someone is trying to frame Bucky as well for something he didn't do. Oh yeah, I guess I should mention I need to wear glasses now. I probably shouldn't wear them now because of glare and stuff. Like, I can see it in there. I'm gonna take them off now. Ugh, that's better. And I was really excited for this movie ever since they announced that, hey, Iron Man and Captain America, these guys who are kind of butting heads with each other for a while, yeah, they're actually gonna fight in a Civil War movie. And I was looking forward to it. The trailers looked amazing, and walking away from this movie, it is one of Marvel's best movies. It might be their best one. I honestly am disputing with myself whether it's better than the Avengers or not. And as you know, the Avengers is one of my favorite comic book films. It's my favorite MCU movie, so saying that those two are going head to head with each other as my favorite, that's saying something. And I know probably some people want me to bring up, is it better than Batman vs. Superman? How do you feel about Batman? So I'll mention it quickly because I don't really want to dwell on that stuff. Yeah, Civil War is better than Batman vs. Superman, and in my opinion, Batman vs. Superman should take notes from Civil War. For one thing, the opposing ideologies between the two main characters, Cap and Iron Man, you can actually understand both. And going into this movie, I was like, alright, yeah, the Avengers operate on their own. Yeah, they can't be limited by the government. Team Cap all the way. Screw you, Iron Man. But actually, watching this movie, when Iron Man was actually discussing his side to the argument, I was like, wow, that actually makes sense. I guess I never saw it like that before. You never actually thought of something before. And then Cap brings up something, and I'm like, oh yeah, Cap, that's completely right. And then Tony brings up something, I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. This movie is excellent at making you actually conflicted with yourself, because you can understand both, and it's a tough choice to make. And I'm so glad the Russos came back to make this movie. I'm so glad they're doing Infinity War Part 1 and Part 2, soon to be retitled, because they really nailed it with the Winter Soldier by making it a more serious Cap movie. You actually have a caring for this character now, and then they do something incredible with the other Avengers. They divide them into different teams, they fight each other. It really is emotional in every way, especially since they've been friends for so long. That's one of the main themes of this movie, is friendship, and I actually really enjoyed that one fight. And if you've seen the movie, you know exactly which one I'm talking about, when all the Avengers go head-to-head in the big airport fight. That was amazing. Speaking of amazing, Robert Downey Jr. plays a new side to Tony Stark that none of us have really ever seen before, because he seems more grounded. Like in the other movies, you know, he had a little bit of seriousness to him, but he usually had lots of one-liners that made everyone laugh. He was usually the big comedic relief. In this movie, he had a couple laughs in there, but for the most part, he was actually giving a serious performance. He was saying some serious things. He actually seemed like he was in a dark place with this character, and in my opinion, this is the best movie that Tony Stark has been in. This is the best performance Robert has given as the character. And the moments that shine in this movie are definitely the scenes where Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans are actually butting heads, because the storyline has been hinted at so often in the other movies where Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. would kind of butt heads because they do have different ideologies. So finally seeing that take place, even though they've been friends for so long, was really incredible to see. All the other Avengers were good as well. I'm not going to mention all of them because that would take really long, so I'll mention the standouts. In Age of Ultron, I really enjoyed Scarlet Witch's character. I thought she was really good. I didn't get a lot out of her character, but I thought she was really cool. In this movie, though, they really do flesh out her character from something that happens, and it actually made me care a lot for her, and I really dig Scarlet Witch. She's a really cool hero, and they hint at the relationship with her and the Vision, which, by the way, Vision Still really cool. Paul Bettany does a terrific job playing him, but if you read the comics or are aware of anything involving the Vision, you know that he and Scarlet Witch kind of hook up, and they hint at that kind of relationship. They don't just flat out say it, but they hint at it, and I can't wait to see where else that goes if they ever bring it up, which they should, because they can't just leave that storyline hanging. Chadwick Boseman as the Black Panther, perfect introduction to this character. I can't wait for his standalone movie, because it's not just, oh look, here's the Black Panther, he's just gonna stick around to set up his own movie. No, they actually integrated his character and introduction into this movie's plot, so it felt more natural. And I really did dig Black Panther's storyline arc as well. That was actually really cool. And speaking of introductions, the new Spider-Man played by Tom Holland. Now, I was actually really interested to see how this works, because I had not recognized Tom Holland before. I'd seen him in The Heart of the Sea, and I thought he was really good there, but I was interested to see how he does as Spider-Man. This is a new Spider-Man after all. We've seen Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire, and I like both of them as Spider-Man, but hands down, Tom Holland is the best Spider-Man we've ever gotten, and so far, he's the best Peter Parker. We don't see a lot of him as Peter Parker in the movie, but we see a lot of him as Spider-Man, and holy crap, he was terrific. He had the great one-liners, he joked with everyone, he swung around and fought people extremely well. He was awesome. And this actually made me look forward to Spider-Man Homecoming even more, because I heard the writers of Vacation were writing this movie, and I was like, oh, no, you can't do that. But hopefully the director who directed Cop Car, which I thought was pretty good, and Kevin Feige can rein them in, like, okay, we can't make this be crap. We have to make a good Spider-Man movie, because we finally have Spider-Man in the MCU. We can't just make this crap movie. And hopefully that turns out well, and I really enjoyed Spider-Man in this movie. I can't wait to see more of him. Oh yes, and Paul Rudd returning as Ant-Man. He has one big shining moment in the airport fight. I'm not going to spoil what it is, but it was amazing. And Paul Rudd is just hilarious as usual. And I mentioned earlier you can understand ideologies between Cap and Iron Man. You can even understand the thinking behind the villain, played by Daniel Bruhl. Now, he's not in the movie a whole lot, let's just get that clear. He's not in the movie a whole lot. It's mainly about Cap butting heads with Iron Man, and Cap trying to help out his friend Bucky. That's what the movie should be, and this villain is there just to be the villain, but he actually had a method to his madness, and when he kind of goes over what happened to him, I couldn't help but feel kind of bad for him. Like, yeah, I can see where he's coming from. So he wasn't in the movie a whole lot, but he was actually a pretty good villain. I guess you could say this movie is actually more clever and smart than you would have thought. And saying these things honestly makes me appreciate Civil War more and more. I freaking adore this movie. The plot is just so well handled with all these different characters, these big characters. They all have their own shining moments, and you can understand their approach to this situation. You can understand everything. The Russos did a fantastic job making this film. And the people behind the action scenes, also fantastic. This movie has some of the best action of the year. The airport fight, I already mentioned that. That's incredible, but there's also other fight scenes as well. Just really nail-biting with suspense and all that. It was amazing. I was really breathing hard during one particular fight scene in this movie, and you might know which one I'm talking about if you've seen it. It was brutal. Guys, I honestly love Civil War. I can't think of a single problem with this film. I mean, the acting is amazing. The characters are really well defined. The visual effects and the action scenes look incredible. All of it is so good, and the plot is actually intriguing. It gets you hooked, because it will divide audiences as well. Team Cap or Team Iron Man, that's what the promotional thing is all about. It will divide people as well. People will also have different ideologies about the situation, like the characters. I'm gonna give Civil War an A+. I cannot find a single flaw with this film. I absolutely really adored this movie, and I honestly really want to see it again. I said at the beginning of the year, Deadpool was my favorite, and if any comic book movie could give it some competition, it would be Civil War, and now Civil War might be my favorite movie of the year. Like, That's awesome. But if you saw Civil War, which you probably did because I actually just saw this movie a couple hours ago, and this review is kind of late, I apologize, leave your thoughts in the comments below. And as always, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe. I'm Jackson Fulcher. Let me put on the glasses real quick. I can see now. See you guys next time.